7 shots, 7 saves. One man, 40 years old, from a country so small most of the world couldn't find it on a map, and he just shut out the best attack on the planet. 6 months ago, a letter arrived at my door. No return address, just a postmark from a country most people couldn't find on a map. Inside, 3 pages of tight handwriting from a man named Marka. He wrote, "Dear Cole, you asked what I was thinking during those 90 minutes. The honest answer is nothing new. That's the part nobody believes. They wanted a revelation, a halftime speech, some moment where the old man found a second wind. There was no second wind. There was just wind, the same wind I'd trained in for 22 years. I just knew it better than they did." Marka wrote that letter in a hotel room at 4 in the morning, still in his matched socks, ice taped to both wrists. His country, population just over 500,000, had never made it this far in a major tournament. They were facing the reigning world champions. Average squad age, 24. Combined transfer value, more than his nation's entire football budget for a decade. The pundits gave his team a 2% chance. The bookmakers were kinder. They gave them 3. And nobody, not one analyst on the planet, gave the 40-year-old goalkeeper a prayer. Marka continued, "I warmed up slowly that evening. I know the cameras read it as confidence, but it was arithmetic. I have faced 11,000 shots in competitive matches. I've trained in rain that froze to my jersey, in gyms with no heating for a national team that sometimes couldn't afford the hotel for an away match. Every one of those days deposited something into me. Not motivation, not belief, something quieter. A map of where the ball goes before the striker knows he's chosen. You don't build that map in a year. You build it in 20. On the other side of the pitch, their striker, call him Diallo, was lacing his boots with the focused calm of a man who had scored in every round of the tournament. 23 years old. 6'1", carved from fast twitch muscle, the kind of athlete who makes defenders look like they're moving through water. He'd studied Marka's film, saw a tall man with heavy legs, saw a career winding down, a sentimental selection, a farewell tour in a green jersey. He saw exactly what Marka wanted him to see. And that was the first save, before the whistle even blew. Diallo told a teammate in the tunnel, he's 40. "I go low and hard. His knees won't get down in time." He said it the way you discuss dismantling a wall, not facing a person. From his side of the data, it made perfect sense. His shot speed averaged 112 kilometers per hour. His release was under 0.4 of a second. On paper, against raw physics alone, a 40-year-old body had no business being in the same postcode as that ball. But Marka had never played on paper. He played on grass, and grass remembers your feet. The whistle blew. For 15 minutes nothing came to Marka. The champions played possession, controlled, patient, surgical. They moved the ball like a conversation he wasn't invited to join. 68% possession by minute 12. Marka stood in his box watching, not nervous, not relaxed, present. He wrote about it later. The waiting is the part young goalkeepers get wrong. They fill the silence with adrenaline. They bounce, they shout. They burn fuel they'll need in the 78th minute. I fill the silence with information. I watch hips. I watch planted feet. I count tendencies. Now here's what nobody told Diallo, and this is the fact that changes everything. Reaction time, raw reflexive speed, peaks around age 24. After that it declines, slowly but measurably. If you stop the analysis there, Marka was finished before he started. But there is a second curve that almost nobody talks about. Anticipatory cognition, the brain's ability to read body language, predict shot trajectory, and recognize spatial patterns before they fully form, keeps climbing through the 30s and into the 40s in elite athletes. Marka wasn't reacting slower. He was arriving earlier. The ball hadn't left Diallo's foot, and Marka had already chosen his corner. Minute 19. Diallo receives a through ball at the edge of the box, plants his left foot, strikes low and left, hard, clean, technically flawless. Marka is already there, not diving, standing. Gloves down, ball collected against his chest like a parcel he'd been expecting since Tuesday. The commentators call it luck. Minute 26. A curling shot from the right wing. Marka reads the hip rotation of the crosser, shifts his weight a half-second before the strike, palms it wide with one hand. The stadium noise changes, not cheering yet, something quieter, wondering. Pause. I want you to think about something for a second. Think about the last time someone looked at your experience, your years, your mileage, your gray hairs, and called it a limitation. Maybe it was a job interview where they said overqualified. Maybe it was a gym where someone half your age made you feel invisible. Maybe it was just a mirror at 6 in the morning. We live in a world that worships the new, the young, the fast, and it forgets dangerously that pattern recognition is the most expensive thing a human being can build. It takes decades, and it cannot be faked. Marka's letter continued. Save 3 came from a header. Their center back had surged up for corner, big man, powerful neck. I watched his muscles tighten, saw his eyes lock on the top right corner of my goal, and I was moving before the ball left his forehead. My feet knew. Save 4 was the hard one, a deflection off my own defender. Ugly, spinning, no pattern to read, pure animal instinct. I got a fingertip to it and the ball kissed the post and died on the line. My wrist screamed at me. I told it to wait. Your body can wait, the ball cannot. Save 5 broke something in Diallo. A one-on-one clean through on goal, every defender beaten. He chose power, top corner, everything he had. Marka read the run-up, the planted foot, the angle of the laces. He was airborne before the strike connected, stretching across the mouth of the goal like a man falling sideways off a building. Fingertips, just fingertips against leather. The ball cracked off the crossbar and spun into the night. Diallo stood there. He didn't shout, didn't slam the ground. He looked down at his own boots slowly, as if they had lied to him. By the 60th minute, the champions had turned Marka's penalty box into a siege. Corners, free kicks, overlapping runs from both flanks. His defenders were shattered, legs heavy as concrete, positioning fraying at the seams. Marka shouted instructions in a voice that hadn't changed pitch since the opening whistle. Calm, measured, like a man giving directions to his own house. Diallo switched tactics. He stopped going for power, started choosing placement, low, disguised, threaded into the corners where a 40-year-old body shouldn't be able to fold. The crowd could feel it pressing. The dam was going to break. Marka wrote, Save 6 was low right corner, placed with the cold precision of a man who has finally stopped underestimating you. Diallo had learned. I respected that, but I have faced 10,000 placed shots across 22 years of training. My left hand found the ball the way your mouth finds the next word in a sentence you already know by heart. Save 7 was the last. 78th minute. He struck it clean, and for a half second, the only half second in the entire match, I didn't know where it was going, so I made myself wide. Every centimeter of this old frame. And the ball found my chest, and I held it, and I did not let go. After save 7, Diallo looked across the box at Marka. Not with anger, something older than anger, recognition. The way you look at a mountain you've been trying to summit all day and realize it was never the mountain that changed. It was your understanding of how high it always was. The final whistle blew 12 minutes later. Marka's team didn't win. They drew 0-0 and went out of the tournament on goal difference. There was no trophy, no lap of honor, no fairy tale. But that scoreline, that stubborn, beautiful 0, became a sentence that exists in history now. And nobody can unwrite it. They asked Marka in the press conference if he was disappointed. He wrote, I told them no. They didn't believe me, but I meant it. I came to that tournament to prove one thing, not to my country, not to the young men in white shirts, but to every goalkeeper over 35 who has been told to step aside and make room. 40 years old, 7 saves. The champions never scored. That sentence exists now. It is carved into the record. Nobody gets to take it back. And that was enough. So the next time you feel the weight of your years pressing down in a gym, at a desk, on a cold Monday morning when the alarm screams and your body asks you why, remember what Marka carried into that stadium. Not youth, not speed, not the luxury of untested potential. He carried receipts. 22 years of hard, quiet, unglamorous work that nobody filmed, nobody applauded, nobody remembered until the night it mattered. Every save he made was a withdrawal from an account nobody else could see. Your hard days aren't subtracting from you. They are depositing into you, and the balance is growing. Marka ended his letter with one line. He wrote, "They counted my years like a debt. I spent them like currency." The critics called his career a long goodbye. He called it a long education. There is a version of experience that hardens into stubbornness, and there is a version that hardens into wisdom. Marka spent 40 years building the second kind. Every save was the tuition. If you're still in the arena while they're counting you out, this one was for you. I'm Cole. Tomorrow, the man who answered a surrender ultimatum with one word. Subscribe, a new story like this every evening.